What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the episode. My name is Kendall Boyle. I have been a trainer for over 15 years, specializing in women's strength training and wellness and nutrition, and I am also a certified nutrition coach and certified kettlebell coach. I hope that you enjoy what you listen to, and over the course of this episode, you go, I need to hear more. Well, luckily, there's close to 500 previous episodes that you can go back and check out. All things fitness, nutrition, mindset, and life. And of course, if you are an OG listener, you know I freaking love you. I enjoy sitting down week after week for now multiple years, sharing my life with you guys and letting you guys know that I am not perfect, that I still go through my own mental battles myself. I still have my own physical goals that I'm aiming to go for. And this podcast is where I get to share all of that with you. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you do, please make sure to share this episode. Just all you have to do is click on the three little buttons, click copy link, take a snapshot, post it up, whatever you need to do. It's even easier if you're going to post it on Facebook, because you can just copy the link, stick the link in your post, and then it automatically makes a little preview screen, and then you just hit publish. So super simple to help support the podcast. It's all you got to do. Now, let's chit chat, you guys, before we hop into today's episode, where we're going to be talking about the 8 different ways to strength train and which one is right for you, and is there one that's the best way. But first, let's just kind of catch up, because this weekend, y'all, I realized that, as you guys know, I've been training for an ultra marathon. I thought that I had a couple of weeks. I don't know. Life has just been so busy. I just haven't really focused so much on what the actual calendar looks like. No, y'all, when you hear this episode, my race is 7, 8, 9, 10 days away. Am I a little nervous? A little bit. Do I feel like I'm pretty prepared? Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to be able to get through it. I'm not using my just lackadaisical attitude about this race to give me any excuses to not do it. I'm going to go full in. I'm going to accomplish it. The last time I did this particular race as a single person, because I've done it successfully with a partner, I actually had to drop out with about 6 miles left, and I don't want to do that this time. So this is a comeback race for me, just something to prove to myself that we can do hard things. And if you guys know anything, it's that I love using my fitness, what we called live your fitness. It's one thing to come into the gym and work out day after day, week after week, year after year, but what good is that if you don't actually use it in your life to do cool things and to have fun experiences and to challenge yourself to do different things that normally you'd go like, oh my gosh, this is kind of nerve-wracking, but you put yourself outside of your comfort zone to prove that you're capable of doing so many awesome things. And for some people, maybe that's just walking up the stairs without getting fatigued, or playing football or chase with your kids, which is amazing in and of itself. For somebody like me, I don't have kids, so I can set a little bit different goals. And my goals are things like going hiking or doing these ultra races or doing obstacle course races. And so it's been a while since I've gotten a chance to do any of that. And I'm excited to get out there. I feel like I personally, with the things that we've struggled through in my personal life and in my business life, I need this for myself. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I will definitely, obviously, keep you guys posted. Next week, I will post a little bit of just kind of how I'm doing as far as preparing for actual race day. Now, I will say, I have upped the intensity of my training a little bit. Friday, in fact, I was so tired from last week's training that I ended up taking a rest day, which is not like me, but I also want to share that because it is important for you guys to listen to your body. I think that sometimes we do try to make excuses to not work out. We're not motivated, so we can use the idea of like, I'm tired or it's a busy day, when even if it's a busy day, 5 or 10 minutes of a workout is still better than nothing. But sometimes we genuinely should not be working out. If you have not had good quality of sleep, if you have been pushing your body to the max, workout after workout, maybe you need to back off. Maybe you need to back off for one workout. Maybe you need to back off for a full week. I will say, when this ultra is done, we are going to be doing a deload week in Fit Women's Weekly Live. So that's actually the best time to join, because it'll help you slowly get started with the program versus jumping right in and jumping into the deep end. So I'll share a little bit about that on the next week as far as what is a deload week and why we do it and why that's actually the best time to start a program like Fit Women's Weekly Live. But for now, that's all we really need to cover. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 8 different ways to strength train, which is the right way for you, and is there one that's actually the best way? We are then going to decide, I'm going to share with you guys how to decide which one's the best for you, and I'll give my definition of what is the best. And then, of course, I'm going to finish it off on a workout. I received a lot of feedback that you guys miss when I used to give. Like the OG listeners know this. I used to end every workout or every podcast with a workout that I had done either the day before or had done recently and shared my results with you guys and then challenged you to do it. And I didn't realize that that was something that you guys really looked forward to. So I am bringing that back. It will be at the end of this episode. So without further ado, let's jump right on in here. Now, yes, there are 8 different forms of strength training. In fact, there are probably more than that even. These are just the main 8 forms of strength training that when you think about building muscle that often come up depending who you're talking to, right? What kind of expert in the field are you talking to? Or in today, like what kind of influencer you're talking to, because they're not all experts out there, right? But the 8 are calisthenics or body weight, isometric training, traditional bodybuilding, Metcon style of strength training, kettlebell training, of course I had to throw that in there, Plyometrics, powerlifting, and Olympic lifting. Now, that's quite the list, right? So let's kind of break down each one, talk about the benefits of each one, what to expect from each one, and then this will also help to decide, is this something that maybe you want to add into your training, or maybe you want to jump around to do something completely different that you had never really considered before. So first one is calisthenics, or most often thought about as body weight training. Calisthenics is a form of strength training consisting of a variety of movements that work the large muscle groups and most often require little or zero equipment. Along with building strength, it can also increase your aerobic capacity, meaning it's going to work your heart, it's going to work your lungs. It can also help to improve your flexibility, mobility, balance, agility, and coordination. Examples of calisthenics include things like push-ups, pull-ups, squats, animal flow movements like bear crawls or crab walks, and planks, handstands, muscle ups. Most of the time we think of calisthenics as adult gymnastics when you're hanging from a bar or you're doing different variations of handstands, and that is one part of calisthenics that's really cool. If you ever see somebody who has a calisthenics Instagram or YouTube, they're amazing to watch. It is beautiful, and the strength that they have to be able to control their body is super impressive. But that's the more advanced stuff. There are more basic forms of calisthenics, and that's simply body weight training and understanding how your body moves. I'm a huge fan of calisthenics, and in fact, a lot of times when I'm talking with people who are brand new to exercise and they're like, hey, should I be doing bench press? Should I be doing this? While those parts are important and those exercises have a place, I think it's also important to learn how to move your body, because if you're not able to do a proper squat, just body weight, what rate do you have by throwing a barbell on your back, right? So learning how your body moves from just bending the joints or how your body feels and learning the right way, aka proprioception, is understanding where your body is in space. Then until you have those things figured out, you really shouldn't be going to the more advanced stuff where you're adding a lot of external load. So calisthenics is a great place to start. So it's also great if you're interested or you have a background in gymnastics, you're new to strength training like I just talked about, where you can really learn the fundamentals of just moving your own body before you add external weight. And it's awesome if you have little or no equipment and you can build strength. Like people that think that you can't get super ripped from doing body weight exercises, seriously, do me a favor while we're chit-chatting right now. Open up your phone, because clearly you're on it, go over to Instagram and just put in hashtag calisthenics and see what comes up. And some of the people are freaking monsters in the best way. Their shoulders, their arms, their bodies, they're lean, they're fit, they're strong. It's truly amazing. So go check that out. Calisthenics, big fan. Number 2, isometric strength. Isometric strength is a form of exercise focusing on static contractions of a muscle without actually moving the joint. So there's 3 types of contractions when we're talking about muscle movements, and that's concentric muscle movement. Think about when you're doing a bicep curl, how your bicep gets bigger, it's shortening and therefore contracting. So that's the concentric form of a movement. Then you have the eccentric form, which is the lengthening when we're talking about doing negatives. For example, if you're doing a chin-up hold and you're trying to lower down from your chin-up or your pull-up as slow as you can, that is focusing on the eccentric phase, which is also more focused on building the strength portion of building up a muscle. So that's why we focus so much on the eccentric phase of doing negatives, because that has been proven to have a little bit bigger role in muscle repair and muscle rebuilding to build ultimate strength. And then the third type is the isometric phase, which is simply holding. And there's 3 types of isometric movements: presses, pulls, and holds. Now you're probably thinking like, wait, if you're not moving the muscle, how do you press? So think about you're standing up in front of a wall and you put your hands on that wall and you try as hard as you can to push and move that wall. Now, obviously, that wall is not going to go anywhere, but you're still using force and you're still tightening the muscles in that isometric phase, and that in and of itself can have a role in muscle strength. And that's what the isometric phase is. A couple of other examples are doing a wall squat, or if you have a super heavy barbell on the ground. Now, of course, you have to be careful with this so that you don't hurt yourself, but with proper form, you know you're not going to be able to pick up that bar, but you put tension on it and you try to pull it up for a count of 5 to 10 seconds. Then you shake things out, take a big deep breath, relax, and repeat. That would be focusing on the isometric. Your muscle's not actually contracting, it's not actually lengthening, it's just stuck, right? So this has a great place. It's really good for preparing for power movements. So you can do some isometric holds before you go and you do some plyometric exercises, or before you go outside to do some sprint work. Or it's also great for rehab in order to help avoid muscle atrophy or shrinking of the muscles, muscle loss that often happens when you have an injury. So it's just a great way to be able to work your muscles through a rehab program without putting them under stress. So just make sure that you're obviously working with a physical therapist and doing what they recommend, but bring up isometrics if they've never done that. And then so depending on the move and the reason, so like rehab, for example, you would hold, what the heck? My notes just jumped. What is that doing? So you would hold a movement for 5 to 10 seconds for like 10 reps or longer, depending on what you're going to do. Or sometimes you may even hold the move for a longer period of time. If I'm doing a wall squat, I'm probably going to hold it for like 60-second chunks, because 5 to 10 seconds of a wall hold, I'm not going to do too much, right? But 60 to 90 seconds and my legs are going to be shaking like crazy. So that's isometric. Number 3 is bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is lifting weights for aesthetic or accessory work, right? Bodybuilding is building your body and focusing less on the idea of functional fitness and more of, I want to develop better thighs, I want a tighter, perkier butt, I want better shoulders or biceps. It's a little bit more, there's no such thing as focusing in on zoning in on one particular place that you want to lose weight, right? There's no such thing as fat targeting or fat loss targeting, but there is such a thing as muscle targeting. If you want to work on getting bigger arms, you can make your body build bigger arm muscles through bodybuilding exercises. Accessory exercises are also often variations, and that's used. So bodybuilding moves are oftentimes used in other forms of strength training at the end of a workout. So I don't do a lot of bodybuilding. I do more, I won't explain what I do yet, but at the end of a lot of my workouts, I'll do fit finishers where I'll choose a couple of different accessory bodybuilding exercises like bicep curls or tricep extensions, where I'm focusing on one particular movement, one particular exercise, and one particular body part in order to make that part stronger or hit a little goal. Like I would love to have better quads. So maybe I'm gonna end my workouts doing some leg extensions. Bodybuilding is also more of the idea of split workout routines, upper body one day, lower body another day, mixed with compound exercises like squats and deadlifts, as well as isolated moves like leg extensions or calf raises, for example. And when you think of bodybuilding, you obviously think more of 3 sets of 10 reps or whatever the case may be, depending on where you are in your cycle. And just like with other parts of fitness, like we're explaining all the different types of strength training, there are also different types of bodybuilding as well. So that could in and of itself be an entire new post. But if you want to hear more on that, let me know. But you also think most of the time when bodybuilding, it's done at a Globo gym where you have access to benches, dumbbells, and barbells. Number 4, Metcon. Metabolic conditioning basically consists of circuit style workouts that include strength training, either weighted or body weight, and it's most commonly associated with brands like CrossFit. But to be perfectly honest, CrossFit did not develop Metcons, they just popularized it. And so I always get really tired when people see me working out and they go, "Oh, you do CrossFit?" And I'm like, no, I've actually been doing this style of exercise since 2006, well before I ever knew about CrossFit. I did try a CrossFit workout in 2008, but that was still when it was like super brand new. It was not mainstream at that time. But I have been doing Metcon style of workouts for 18 years or something like that. I don't know, something crazy, 17 years. Because that's the way that I love it. And when it comes to Metcon style, it's a mix of cardio and strength training, and where you have different kinds of options with your workouts. There's AMRAP, as many rounds as possible. There's EMOMs, every minute on the minute, rounds for time. Here's a circuit, knock it out as fast as you can in 5 minutes. And of course, the intensity can change too. You don't have to go full in for every single Metcon that you do. It's all about what is that particular workout supposed to be targeting, what's the goal of that workout in terms of muscle burn, but also in terms of the metabolic conditioning that you're trying to get out of it. Am I supposed to be on my back at the end, or am I supposed to push myself on a scale of 1 to 10? Maybe I'm supposed to push for a 6. So I think that people sometimes get confused that you have to push 100% every single workout, and that is definitely not the case. But when it does come to Metcons, it's great for performance, it's great for functional fitness, because most of the movements are full body, compound exercises that can carry over into other facets of your life or your fitness, living your fitness. Obviously when you're doing a Metcon and it's a 15-minute AMRAP of something, most often you're not going to be doing small machine exercises. You're going to be doing big compound, big muscle movements like wall balls or deadlifts or clean and presses. Most of my Metcons are done with dumbbells and kettlebells, which then takes us to number 5, which is kettlebell training. Kettlebells are freaking amazing. I did want to put this into its own category because there's 2 things about kettlebell training, and I've done a podcast on this in the past before as well. It can be done as strict strength, kind of like we're working out with a dumbbell or doing bodybuilding style of exercise. We're doing strict presses or goblet squats. Or it can also be what's called a ballistic movement, where we're using our hips to really power the kettlebell and we're throwing it around. And that's going to give you a lot of agility. It's going to give you coordination. It's going to give you a cardio style workout, and it's going to build strength at the same time. And it's good for the mobility and range of motion on your joints. So you'll really be able to get 2 birds with 1 stone. And a lot of the exercises that you can do with a kettlebell, you can't really do with a dumbbell because of how the handle is laid out, but also what makes a kettlebell so special and makes strength training with it its own category is the shape of the bell. So when you're using a barbell or you're using a dumbbell, you put your hand in the middle. That is the center of gravity, right? It's pretty easy to balance. However, the way that a kettlebell is laid out, you have your bell and then the handle or the horn, and your handle is not in the middle of the weight, right? So the center of gravity is off, which means that yes, you are lifting whatever weight that is. Most of the time they're in kilograms. So let's say I'm doing a 16 kilogram kettlebell, but because of that off center of gravity, I'm having to use more of my body to help stabilize that weight, which means my core is going to be engaged more and my smaller stabilizer muscles are going to be engaged more, and you get more bang for your buck. And kettlebell training can be used in Metcon workouts. It can be done as flows. You can really use it in terms of so many different styles, but of course, I think it is the most fun way to do strength training. So for me personally, I do most of my strength training through kettlebell training and through Metcons, but not all. And I'm going to get more into that as well. But you guys know kettlebells have my heart. And number 6 is Plyometrics. Plyometrics is just a fancy way of saying jump. It's treating your body like a rubber band. You're pulling that rubber band and then you're letting it go and you're letting it explode. And plyometrics is super helpful at creating power and helpful for sports, Olympic lifting, and having your body learn how to communicate from your brain to your muscles. And so it's going to help your central nervous system as well. And like Metcons, though, it's really important. I kind of think I skipped out on this, but like a lot of forms of strength training, but especially Metcons, kettlebell training, and plyometrics, it is really, really important to be taught the proper way to do these things, because with Metcons, if you don't have proper form and you're trying to rush through a workout, you can obviously set yourself up for injury. With kettlebells, if you haven't had proper training, you can set yourself up for injury. You can tweak your back. You can hurt your shoulder. There's so many things that can go wrong. Done right, they're totally safe. They're amazing for you. But like so many other things in this life, if you don't do them right or you rush through it, you're going to pay the price. And same thing for plyometrics. And in fact, if you have any previous injuries or any knee problems, for example, that may cause you from being able to jump, obviously don't jump. There are definitely types of modifications that you can do, like going up on your toes out of a squat versus coming up off the ground altogether, but you do want to be careful about it. Plyometrics also helps to improve your agility, increase your muscle speed, and helps to build strength. Just look at freaking sprinters out there. Their muscles are amazing, right? And they do a lot of plyometric work to be able to power themselves out of their starting line. So yeah. And then as far as when, so you don't really, I have seen people do a workout that's entirely plyometrics. I think that's a little overkill. I think that plyometrics is a style of strength training that can be applied to your workouts, and if that's the case, they should be done at the beginning of a workout before you're overly fatigued, because it is so taxing. It's very explosive. It's a draining exercise, and you just want to make sure that you are fresh and feeling good when you're doing it. And when you're doing plyometrics at the beginning of a workout, it kind of prepares your body in order to put a heavier load to progress through the next part of your workout. And then number 7 and 8, I'm actually going to combine these together because this is not particularly my forte, so I can't really speak too much on it. They are things that I do love to do, and I do incorporate them into my own training. That's another hint for which one I think is best. But 7 and 8 are the lifts, the sporting lifts, powerlifting and Olympic lifting. What's the difference? Powerlifting has 3 main movements, which are the bench, the squat, and the deadlift. That's the goal. A powerlifter practices those 3 moves. Not to say they don't ever lift anything else, but they're going to have training days for those 3 movements, and then their accessory work or the other exercises they do are all going to be geared towards making those 3 lifts better lifts. And then as far as Olympic lifting, we're thinking of snatch and the clean and jerk. Both are very specific, and both are a sport, and they take years. People literally train for Olympic lifting for decades before they ever go and do anything huge, or they'll have one meet and then they go right back and they continue practicing. I've had people tell me with snatches of like, oh, I'm just not getting this. And I'm like, you've been doing it for a week. Nobody gets it. These are moves that people practice for years to be able to be good at. And that's why I'm not a fan of doing like barbell snatch and clean and jerks just in the middle of a workout, because it is such an art and it is such a sport that's nothing that really should be rushed, and it can take weeks, months, years, depending on what your background is, to perfecting those things. So if that's you and you're like, oh man, I'm just not getting my clean and jerk, just kind of put yourself into the mindset of like, this is a sport. People train specifically for this lift, and it takes time. So have patience with yourself. Now, obviously, you need to work with a coach for these at some point, whether that's a virtual coach or you're going someplace. I think that having a coach is really important. You should be filming yourself to make sure that you're doing things properly, and you'd have to have access to a barbell for those kind of moves. So at the end of the day, which one is best? Which one? I personally think a mix of all 8 are useful for creating the most athletic person, and it makes things more fun. I'm never going to categorize myself as a Metconner or as a kettlebell person, and that's obviously why at Fitwomen's Weekly Live, I have a training schedule laid out the way that I do so that I can implement all of these really important facets of strength training in order to create the strongest you possible. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Monday is always Interval Mondays, which is a bodyweight Metcon style workout. Tuesdays is always Strong Tuesdays, which is a heavy total body Metcon workout that is going to put an emphasis on dumbbell work, on barbell work, though barbells are always optional. Most people don't have access to barbells, so I always explain what you can do with the dumbbells instead, or if you're using kettlebells. And then Wednesday, we're going to go more into a bodybuilding style of fitness where we work on just our upper body and our core. And then Thursday is leg day. We're going to work on those big compound exercises and those smaller isolation accessory moves for a bodybuilding experience. And then Friday, we take it back to the total body, which we're going to emphasize using kettlebells. So it's a full kettlebell experience. And then Saturday is rest and recovery. So that's how I put in all of these training modalities into a single week of training. For example, also, and I've done a podcast on this before, when I'm doing my workouts for leg day, I make sure to include a couple of things. I make sure to include knee flexion exercises like squats. I make sure to include hip hinge exercises like a deadlift or a good morning or a hip thruster. I make sure to emphasize single leg movements like single leg deadlifts or step ups, for example, to help with balance and stability in the joints. And then I also try to always add in a plyometric exercise as well, because they do have their place. They make an exercise hard and they do help your body learn to communicate a little bit better. So at the end of the day, I think that they're all the best, but it also comes down to your body. Do you have any past injuries? And also, what do you have access to? I mean, I kind of talked about before, if you have something that is bothering you that makes you not jump, then obviously you probably at this point in time at least shouldn't be doing plyometrics. If you have some shoulder issues, you have to be smart with your training. You probably shouldn't be doing anything that takes your body into an overhead position. And maybe calisthenics, doing pull-ups and push-ups may not be the best idea for you right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't do other forms of calisthenics with your lower body. So you kind of just have to know what's going on with your body and what do you have access to. If you don't have kettlebells, obviously you can't do kettlebell workouts. And if you don't have a barbell, Olympic lifting is going to be marked off. But I do want to say this, yes, there's a preference, but also if you hate traditional forms of cardio, but you know it's good for you, right? If you avoid running or biking because you're like, I hate cardio, so I'm not going to do any of those things. Well, then maybe that's a sign that 1 or 2 days a week, you should try Metcon strength training, because that's going to be a more, I wouldn't say what's the word I'm looking for. Maybe that's going to keep your attention a little bit better for you to get 20 to 30 minutes worth of cardio in without being like, I don't want to go run. So it makes it a little bit more exciting. So it can maybe just help play around and get a little bit more creative with your workouts. And then obviously, experience is also important. Do you want to learn new skills? Are you just trying to get into the gym and lift a few weights? If that's the case, maybe bodybuilding is the way to go. Are you trying to learn pull-ups or push-ups? Then start reading some calisthenic books. I'm always about learning. So if there's an area of fitness that you want to get better at, search one of these words to figure out how it can be fit into your programming so that you can learn that new skill and start working on it. So there you go. Like I said, that is why I freaking love Fit Women's Weekly Live, because I get to put the best parts of each of these 8 modalities into your training. So I know I've talked about Fit Women's Weekly Live a lot, you guys, but it really is that amazing of a program to me and for the women in the community. So if you haven't tried it yet, I encourage you, just go to fitwomensweekly.com, sign up for a free trial. You get 14 days, free access, unlimited, no credit card required, and you can come hang out with me for 10 workouts. I go live every day, Monday through Friday. You don't have to do it live with me. When you're ready, hit play, because I understand everybody has their own schedule. Maybe that doesn't work for you, but it's there when you can do it, and I will always be there to help answer questions. You ask a question, and I try to get to you as quickly as I can. So go see how I kind of feng shui all of these 8 different strength training programs into one program called Fit Women's Weekly Live. All right, so now let's finish on a workout, guys. All right, last week's live combined a lot of different training methods for sure. And this was one for our upper body day. So here's what you got going on. And if you don't know what these exercises are, well, another reason to sign up for Fit Women's Weekly Live, because you can actually just go and do this workout. You can see the full video. So you're going to start off with 5 rounds of 8 lateral raises and 6 donkey kicks. So we've got our weighted bodybuilding move, followed by our calisthenic move, which is a donkey kick. Then you're gonna do 36 single leg lemon squeezes for our core. Then you're gonna knock out 5 rounds of double dumbbell chest press and 6 heavy dumbbell pullovers. Then we're gonna knock out 36 plank dumbbell pull throughs, and then 5 rounds of 8 rows per side, bent over rows, and then 8 dips, whether you do that off of a box or on bars or rings, that is up to you. And then 36 dumbbell windshield wipers, which is a killer core exercise. And then that's it. That takes right at about 40 minutes to knock out the complete workout. Guys, if you aren't sure and you're like, wait, you talk too fast, just rewind, write it down. But again, if you want to give it a shot and you're not sure about some of these exercises, or you would rather just not have to write it down, sign up for Fit Women's Weekly Live, and then you'll actually be able to just see this entire workout filmed start to finish, and you can just work out with me. And I want to say, I just don't feel like I stress that enough, that in Fit Women's Weekly Live, it's not me just going live every day going like, hey guys, here's the workout. You're going to do 5 lateral lunges or lateral raises. This is what it looks like. Then you're going to do 6 donkey kicks. After your 5 rounds, you're going to do 36 lemon squeezes. No, I actually say, all right, let's warm up. Okay, first round, we do the full thing together. And it is as if I am training myself, not just training you guys. So I don't get into this beach body voice of 1 and 2. It's me working out with you guys. So give it a shot. So there you go. All right, you guys, now that you've heard the podcast, you've gotten a great workout, and you've been invited to try Fit Women's Weekly Live, I do have one quick favor to ask of you. Just share this podcast. That's it. Take a screenshot, hit the 3 dots like I said above to copy the episode link, paste it into your stories, or if you're on Facebook, just slap the URL right in the post, hit post, and boom, it's done. It really helps to get the word out there, and it's my goal for the Fit Women's Weekly podcast to grow this amazing community. I want to hang out with you guys. In fact, I get to hang out with you guys again in 2 days. So if you have friends and family that think hey, this is a cool place to hang out, let them know about it. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I am going to get this ready to get out, and then Tuesdays are always my very, very busy days. So I got to get the podcast ready. Then I have Fit Women's Weekly Live, which today is an assessment day, so it's going to be brutal. And then I've got to come back a little bit more this afternoon after a couple hours of work and film some YouTube videos for Fit Finishers. I always say Fit Quickies when I'm recording it, but they are 5-minute Fit Finishers, which comes out every single Monday. A new one just came out earlier this week. So another reason, if you're listening to this podcast, to go check out the YouTube channel. All right, guys, thank you so much. Mwah. Talk to you later. Bye.